Deep in the African savannah, there's a bird that can weigh as much as a small child, with a wingspan wider than most cars. By all accounts, it's the heavyweight champion of the flying world. But here's the twist. While other massive birds rule the skies as predators, this one doesn't really hunt at all. So, how does the world's heaviest flying bird survive without being a hunter? Meet the Kori bustard, a gentle giant hiding in plain sight. This isn't a story about a fierce aerial predator. It's the story of a bird so massive it pushes the very limits of flight, yet it survives on a diet that seems to defy its powerful build. Now, birds like the mighty Andean condor are mostly scavengers, but they've been seen actively hunting small animals. The Kori bustard, on the other hand, takes a much more peaceful path. To understand this feathered paradox, we have to go to the sprawling grasslands of Africa, where this king of the savannah prefers to walk its kingdom rather than soar above it. And when we say the Kori bustard is big, it's hard to overstate it. A fully grown male can stand over 4 feet tall, literally looking a grown man in the eye. But their height is only half the story. The real wow factor is their weight. Males regularly tip the scales at 24 to 42 pounds, or about 11 to 19 kilograms. To put that in perspective, that's heavier than most turkeys and about as much as a border collie. The largest one ever confirmed clocked in at a staggering 40 pounds. This incredible bulk makes the Kori bustard the heaviest living animal that's capable of flight. While its cousin, the great bustard of Eurasia, can sometimes reach similar sizes, the Kori consistently ranks as the heavyweight champ. It's a bird that operates at the very edge of what scientists believe is physically possible for flight, with some males getting so heavy they probably shouldn't be able to get off the ground at all. Unlike the sleek bodies of other large flying birds, the Kori is built solid and stocky for life on the ground. It has a thick, muscular neck, a broad chest, and powerful legs made for walking. In fact, it spends about 70% of its time on its feet, striding with a slow, deliberate gait across the plains. Its feathers are a masterpiece of camouflage, a mix of gray, brown, and white that lets it melt into the tall grasses. A striking black crest on its head and a bright white stripe above its eye give it a regal, almost wise look. This is a bird designed for a patient, grounded existence, not for high-speed chases. So, if it's the heaviest bird that can fly, you'd probably expect to see it owning the African skies. But seeing a Kori bustard in flight is actually an incredibly rare sight. For a creature this heavy, flying is a massive undertaking that burns a colossal amount of energy. It's a last resort, used almost exclusively to escape predators like lions, leopards, or eagles. Getting airborne isn't a graceful leap. It's work. The process starts with a running start, its powerful legs churning to build up enough speed to haul its massive body off the ground. Once it's up there, its flight is strong but ponderous. It's all deep, heavy wing beats, followed by long glides just to save energy. That massive wingspan, which can stretch up to 9 feet, is absolutely essential to generate enough lift to keep it in the air. This reluctance to fly shapes its entire life. It avoids dense forests, sticking to open grasslands where it can see for miles and spot danger long before it has to even think about flying. When trouble does approach, its first instinct isn't to take off, it's to run or simply crouch down and trust its camouflage. This ground-dwelling life is so ingrained that the Kori bustard doesn't even have a hind toe, which restricts it to a life lived on solid ground. It also evolved without a preen gland, the organ most birds use to oil their feathers. Instead, it produces a special powder down and takes dust baths to stay clean, Every part of its biology points to one conclusion: the Kori bustard is a bird of the earth, and it only flies when it has no other choice. This brings us back to the central mystery: if this giant doesn't hunt, what on earth does it eat? The answer is pretty simple: almost anything it can find. The Kori bustard is the ultimate opportunistic omnivore. It doesn't stalk prey or get into high-stakes pursuits. Instead, it just forages. It walks slowly through the grasslands, using its sharp eyes and long beak to pick up an incredible variety of foods. Insects are a huge part of its diet. As it walks, it naturally stirs up grasshoppers, locusts, and beetles, which it expertly snatches up. It has a particular love for caterpillars and dung beetles. It's even been seen following large herds of zebra or wildebeest, not to attack them, but to pick through their dung for a tasty meal of bugs. It's also drawn to bushfires, where it will patiently wait to feast on insects and small animals caught in the blaze. But it's not just insects. It'll happily eat small lizards, chameleons, rodents, and even the eggs and chicks of other birds if it happens to stumble upon them. It also has a surprising taste for plants. Seeds, berries, roots, and flowers are all on the menu. And then there's its weirdest craving: the gum from acacia trees, a sticky, resinous sap that few other animals touch. This flexible diet is the secret to its success. It doesn't need to be a specialized hunter because it has evolved to make a meal out of whatever the savannah provides. It's a forager, a gatherer, and a true gentle giant. Life on the African plains isn't easy, but the Kori bustard has some fascinating tricks up its sleeve, and even a few surprising friendships. One of the most remarkable is its relationship with a small, colorful bird, the carmine bee-eater. These little birds often hitch a ride on the Kori bustard's back, using it as a moving watchtower and personal buffet. As the giant bustard walks, it flushes out insects from the grass, which the bee-eaters swoop down to catch. It's an easy meal for them, and in return, the bee-eaters act as an early warning system. From their high vantage point, they can spot predators and alert their giant host, giving it precious extra time to hide or escape. Another unique trait is how it drinks. Unlike most birds that scoop water and tilt their heads back, the Kori bustard sucks up water directly, a rare skill it shares with pigeons. But nothing compares to the male's courtship display. To attract a female, males gather in special areas called leks. There, they perform an incredible transformation. A male will inflate his neck into a massive, balloon-like pouch of white feathers, fan his tail over his back, and let out a deep, booming call that can be heard from a huge distance. It's a dramatic, almost otherworldly sight, as these normally reserved giants turn into magnificent showmen. After mating, though, the male's job is done. He takes no part in nesting or raising the young, leaving the female to care for the 1 or 2 chicks all on her own. For all its size and clever adaptations, the Kori bustard faces a shaky future. Though it lives across a vast area of eastern and southern Africa, its population is declining, and it's now classified as near threatened. The threats are almost entirely human-made. The biggest danger is habitat loss. As human populations grow, the open grasslands these birds need are being turned into farms and grazing land. This breaks up their home and shrinks their food sources. Another tragic threat comes from power lines. Because they're heavy and fly so low, Kori bustards often don't see the power lines strung across their habitat and are killed in collisions. Get this, one study found that a single 10-kilometer stretch of power lines was responsible for the deaths of 22 Kori bustards in just 5 months. It's devastating. On top of that, they're also victims of pesticide poisoning from crops and are sometimes hunted for their meat. Even though they are a celebrated part of many African cultures and a huge draw for tourism, their slow reproductive rate makes it incredibly hard for populations to bounce back. Conservation efforts are underway, but the future of this gentle giant is far from certain. The king of the savannah is in a quiet battle for survival. The Kori bustard is a living, walking contradiction. It's a bird built like a heavyweight boxer that refuses to fight. It has the gift of flight but would rather walk the earth. It is a titan of the bird world that survives not through brute force, but through patience, flexibility, and a few helpful friends. In a world that so often celebrates the fiercest predators, the Kori bustard is a quiet reminder of a different kind of strength, the strength of gentle opportunism. It's a true monarch of the savannah, a living legend that shows us survival doesn't always go to the most aggressive, but sometimes to the most resourceful. If you were fascinated by the story of this incredible gentle giant, subscribe for more journeys into the lives of the world's most amazing animals. What other paradoxical creatures should we explore next? Let us know in the comments below.